Welcome back, everyone. Today's discussion is a bit different. As thrilling as the NBA playoffs have been, there's one persistent issue that's hard to ignore: the officiating. Specifically, I want to talk about some of the frustrating calls and non calls that occurred in the recent Detroit Pistons versus New York Knicks game. While I'll highlight clips to support these points, this really needs to be talked about at length because it's becoming a serious problem. Let's start with the broader picture. The intensity of playoff basketball is unmatched. Every possession matters, and you can see how much more physical and defensive the game becomes. Just look at the scores: 100 to 94, 105 to 102. These are not typical high-scoring regular season games. Players are giving maximum effort on both ends, especially defense. That's what makes the playoffs special. But here's where it gets frustrating. In the Knicks-Pistons matchup, Detroit got the short end of the stick on several calls. One glaring example: Jalen Brunson collided with Ausar Thompson, slipped, and somehow Thompson was tagged with his fifth personal foul. How is that a foul? It's the playoffs. This is supposed to be where contact is expected and allowed to a certain degree. Yet in this case, Brunson simply fell, and the whistle blew, rewarding what looked like a flop. This isn't just about Brunson, to be clear. The issue is that the refs are too quick to blow the whistle on plays that should be considered normal playoff physicality. If you've been watching games, you've probably seen this happen often. There's a glaring double standard when it comes to physicality and consistency. Let's compare that with another game: the Clippers versus Nuggets. In that one, James Harden lightly nudged Nikola Jokic, who then exaggerated the contact and hit the floor dramatically. The refs did not call anything. That's good officiating, recognizing a flop and refusing to reward it. That's what playoff basketball needs: strength, resilience, and fairness. But go back to the Knicks-Pistons game, and it's a different story. OG Anunoby was literally grabbing Cade Cunningham's jersey. No call. That kind of hand-fighting and tugging happens all the time in the playoffs, and I'm not saying it shouldn't. In fact, I support a more physical brand of basketball in the postseason. But if you're going to let things like jersey grab slide, then you can't start calling phantom fouls just because an offensive player jerks their head back to sell contact. This head snap technique is rampant across the league. Offensive players like Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, and James Harden all do it. Drive into the paint, feel the slightest bump, and suddenly the head whips back like they got hit by a truck. It's gamesmanship, but it's on the officials to recognize it and avoid falling for it. Back to the Knicks game. Late in the fourth quarter, with just seconds left, Karl Anthony Towns set a blatantly illegal moving screen. It wasn't subtle. He was clearly moving. The same kind of call was made on Jalen Duren earlier in the game. Yet here, nothing. That inconsistency is maddening. When the game is on the line, a missed call like that can change everything. One more example. There was a play where Brunson had his arm wrapped around Thompson. He hooked him. Yet the foul was called on Thompson, and it wasn't until Brunson gave the ref a little "hey" that the whistle blew. That's all it took. That's not how calls should be made, based on reaction or dramatization. The big issue here isn't that players are trying to sell contact. That's been part of the game for years. The real issue is how often the referees are rewarding it, especially in critical playoff moments. If you're going to set a tone that physicality is allowed, jersey grabs, face guarding, bumping cutters, then let players defend without constantly fearing a foul for breathing too close to someone. All of that said, I still love what I'm seeing in these playoffs. The intensity, the defensive effort, and the stakes are all dialed to a new level. If you're someone who complains the regular season is too soft or too high scoring, this is the time of year that proves the league can still be gritty and competitive. But the officiating has to match that energy. Reward toughness, not theatrics. Consistency is key. If it's not a foul in the first quarter, it shouldn't be one in the fourth. And if you're letting things go on one end, don't tighten the whistle on the other. Thanks for sticking with me. Let me know your thoughts. How have you felt about the officiating this postseason? Are the refs impacting the games too much? Drop your comments. And as always, like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content.